Hello, my fellow colleagues. Welcome to the special interview series. My name is Dr. Diana Canto-Sims. I'm an optometrist and practice owner in Chicago. And today we're going to be diving into one of the most exciting ways to grow your practice and stand out from your competition, creating your own private label frame collection. I know from experience that the idea of launching your own frame line can feel a little bit overwhelming. Where do you start? Who do you partner with? And what does the process even look like? Right? So that's exactly why we created this series. I'll be sitting down with several companies that specialize in helping optometrists like you and me design and launch their own branded frame collections. Each of these companies takes a slightly different approach. Some offer curated, ready to brand collections, while others help you design a fully custom frame from scratch. Many also offer marketing and merchandising tools to make sure your collection is a success. My goal here is to ask the questions that you want answered as a fellow optometrist so that you can see which option is the best fit for you and your practice. So let's jump in and meet today's featured company. Today, we're talking to Logo Project Eyewear. Backed by over 30 years of industry experience, they offer optometric practice owners a seamless way to launch their own private label frame. Their all-in-one platform simplifies the entire process from selecting made in Italy styles and customizing designs to packaging and providing in-office marketing materials. If you're looking to boost your profitability and offer something unique to your patients, Logo Project Eyewear makes it easy to build a brand that reflects your practice. So let's find out how they can help your practice build a strong brand identity through eyewear. Today, we have our guest, Nancy from Logo Project Eyewear. Nancy, introduce yourself and tell us about your company and the services that you offer related to private label eyewear for optometric practices.
Buongiorno, and thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. So my name is Nancy. I have more than 30 years of experience in the optical industry. I am American by birth. I was educated in the UK, and I spent most of my professional career in optics in the UK. And in the last decade, I have moved to Italy, where I work inside Logo Project Design, and I specifically assist with the sales and the marketing of independent private label collections. So we are an Italian company, as you said. We have 30 years of experience. When I joined the company, they were mostly focusing on private label for big companies. And I loved what they were doing. I loved their whole business module and their collections that they were creating. And basically at that point, I said, look, is there a space for me in your company that we can work together and take exactly your story, but make it available on an international platform? So 10 years later, that's where we are today. We have, in the last year, launched our portal, as you mentioned. So traditionally, we had been at the trade shows where we are obviously presented internationally, and we sat down with our independents and made their frame selection at the shows. But really, since COVID, and we know that things have changed. We've invested a lot into this online platform. So you can basically just, as an optician, you have to go online and register your company. We then validate that because we want to have that level of privacy to make sure that your data is being shared from a B to a B scenario. And then we validate it, and then you can go into the platform, you can view the frames that are available, you can put your selection together, you can actually save your selection so that if you wanted to share that with your office staff, you can go back into your portal again and pull up your selection until you're really happy that you've curated the collection that you want.
So you can go shopping.
Exactly.
And then you can talk with your staff and see, hey, does this look good on me?
Exactly.
Does this look good in our practice?
Exactly. And you can make sure you have the right colors and the right shapes. And, do you have a right mix of male and female? Do you have a right mix of metal and acetate? Do you have enough cat eye? Do you have enough round eye? You can really put everything in your shopping basket and have a look at it before you make your final selection, your final checkout, let's say.
Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is because I may have a lot of fellow optometrists that say, but why, like, what are the benefits of having my own private frame line, right? I already do business with companies that my patients, brands that my patients ask for, right? Because patients will ask for brands because they see it. They see it in a commercial or they've been around forever. What really are the main benefits of having a private label frame for your practice? Let's say, comparing it to having like XY frame line, right?
There's lots of benefits. We'll talk about the financial aspect of that later. I think one of the things that did come out of COVID for our industry, a positive, is that we've obviously got associated now with doing a lot of our work online. And the only thing that we get to see of a person is their face, right? So it doesn't much matter now what shoes I'm wearing, if I'm even wearing shoes, because you don't get to see them. So what's become more and more important is seeing your face,
Right.
right? You've got beautiful lipstick on, it that jumps out at me as I'm talking to you. So, how we are presenting ourselves is now really, from shoulders up. So eyewear has become a very important expression of ourselves. And as a result of that, there has been a switch we've seen from people not anymore wanting mainstream eyewear, but wanting something that's more of an expression of themselves, that's colorful, that's got unique shapes. People are now more interested in having multiple pair of eyewear so that they're not always seen to be wearing the same. So the industry has changed, and this has given us much more opportunities. They want choice. They don't want to look like everybody else. The second thing is social media has played another big part in our consumers wanting choices. So again, it's about the individuality. You very often see influencers not wanting to wear what everybody else is wearing because it's not interesting. In
Mhm.
order for them to be an influencer, they want to be leading the trend, right?
Right.
So again, this has helped us and helped our sector to be much more creative than the mainstream product. Okay. So I think culturally things have changed in terms of the buying perspective. Um, Thirdly, if you're selling a brand, it's obviously under a license. If it's not an independent brand, respectfully, but if it's one of the big brands,
Right.
it's a licensed brand. So, with that comes minimums. With that comes that you have, if you want that brand, you perhaps need to buy in another brand in order to have that space. You have to sign up to, big quantities of a year. So there comes with that kind of obligation to have those brands on your shelf. One of the benefits, again, of your own collection is that you can create a collection as you want it to be. Nobody's demanding you to be taking this collection. If you want that one, you need to take that one. When you're creating your own collection, you are putting that together with your patient in mind. So if your patient is the one who's looking for colorful, bright, and bold, that's the kind of collection that you can create and put your name on it. So you're building a lot of credibility with your customer base by providing a curated collection that's got your name on it, that you can also use that for social media, right? Because the brand is yours. So how you present that on social media and the stories that you make from that has a whole lot of credibility than using a brand name that's already out there. And then
Right.
lastly, there's a financial benefit, right? So with our product, we have no minimums. We feel we know with the history that we have with our clients that once they start, it becomes an ongoing long-term relationship. So we allow them the confidence that they can start with us with very low quantities. In fact, no MOQ. But obviously we suggest, given best practice, that if you're going to put a collection together, you make sense that you have a nice range so that when somebody walks into the store, they're not just seeing one piece that's getting lost on the shelf somewhere.
Right.
So the financial aspect of this is that you're buying factory direct without a big spend up front. And as that model is not available with that branding anywhere else but in your store, you set the retail price of that product. So the flexibility lies with you to set your retail pricing. You can also do special offers. You can do a buy one, get one free because nobody's demanding that you do otherwise. You could glaze it with sunglass lenses and do a special program also on sun lens wear. So there's endless opportunities when you have your own collection.
Yes. So dive into a little bit more about the profit margins, right? Because I feel that our industry has kind of labeled, oh, well, you're supposed to do 3 times or 3.2 times or 3.5 times. Um, let's talk about that profit margin, right? So if you're buying, first of all, you're buying wholesale, so you're eliminating the rep, the middleman. It's your own customized product that you chose for your patient demographic and what they need. What would be the profit margin approximately? And I know you mentioned you could price it anything you want, but
Yeah,
let's talk about what are the possibilities of the profitability?
I've seen as much as times 10, times 20
Okay,
for private
wow.
label. Yeah, yeah, and easily. I mean, these are easy margins that we've seen applied. I think it's fair to give the insight that you're right that you don't have the middleman, you don't have agents fees, you don't have license fees because it's
Right.
your own brand.
Hmm.
Uh, but the other fees that are included there that I think is fair to express in the chat is that there is the importation cost that's involved. So today we don't necessarily know what that is because it's a moving target. It used to be no import tariff on optical medical devices. There now is a very slight tariff, but as things are changing, that's just one aspect to be mindful of, which doesn't exist if you're buying product locally, of course. Shouldn't definitely not impact anybody wanting to embark on a private label collection, but in terms of building that into your margins, that needs to be included as a factor. The other thing that needs to be included is that I know in the US market, there's a lot of flexibilities of exchanges and returns. And this is a factor that wouldn't happen if you're making your own private label collection because your name is on that frame and the manufacturer has no place and no right to resell a product that has got your name on it. So therefore, if you have your name on that product, after 6 months, it cannot be returned. It's a no sale or return.
Well, it's a
So
customized product, right?
of
We
course, yeah,
customized it for your branding.
yeah, and the brand belongs to the practice, so we can't take that back. So that's another factor that needs to be added in to the pricing. If you are ordering 20 pieces, but maybe you're left with two, you need to kind of factor in that into the process.
Absolutely. So walk us through what the process looks like, right? Let's say, ooh, this is interesting. I think I want to start. What does the process look like? So step number one, step number two, step number three. Walk us through that.
I think the first place to start is to find a private label supplier that you can trust,
Okay.
because I think trust and putting your brand in the hands of somebody, you need to have trust in what they're going to execute.
Mhm.
They need to have an understanding of your market. So, for example, sending to the USA, we need to have FDA registration. So it's very important that the manufacturer has FDA because when those goods are imported, you don't want to have problems with importation. So it's working with a supplier that has knowledge and that can hold your hand through from placing the order through to getting that product on your shelf and actually marketing it as well. So I think the first step is, if you want to have your private label collection, is to choose your supplier, okay, and do your due diligence to somebody who's got a proven track record.
Right.
And then from there, it's what is the branding? What is the name that you would like to have on your product? Now, our services also include the ability to assist in providing some logo concepts. And obviously, being on the frame, you don't want to have something very long, right? Now,
Right.
research indicates that a word that's between 5 and 7 letters is actually the ideal length for a brand because it's quick and it's sharp and it's easy and it fits on everything. So,
Right.
what does your name look like? And if you don't have a logo, then there's services that provide it. We provide that as part of our package. So we can provide 3 logo concepts, and it's a process. If some practices have it already,
Right.
when you go through the portal, you actually load your logo, and it's a streamlined process. If you
Okay.
don't, you can interrupt the process and say, I have a name, but I would like you to submit logo proposals. And then it's a process. Then we basically take the communication offline. We ask you a bit of a questionnaire. What is the target for your brand? Is it female, male, unisex? Is it young? Is it elegant? Is it, and we get a little bit of a feel of what you would like the demographic of the brand, and then we create those proposals. And then, it very often can be that someone falls immediately in love with proposal A, and it could be then, well, I like the font you used in proposal A, but I like that you put eyewear at the bottom of it in proposal B, and then we do a bit of a play around, and then we finalize. So that's part of the process. But bearing in mind what the branding looks like, I think before you embark on product is important. Okay. And then it's a question of shopping. Go online then, and you can start looking at models. So we don't design to spec. Our strength is for our company is that we design about 500 models every year, and we do a spring, summer, and an autumn, winter collection. And we filter new product through our portal as and when they become available through our production process. So things will become new throughout the course of the year. So you go online, and at any time you can see what's new. You can if you've sold something, you can already put it in your basket for next time you want to go back, and then you start creating your collection. It's as simple as that for our company. And then you go through that process of the branding. In terms of the branding options, we offer various placements of the branding. So it can be our model number always has to stay in the inside temple, because that's our model reference number.
Right.
On the other temple, you can design what that says. So you could say Logo Project Design Eyewear if it fits, and then it will always have Made in Italy and the CE mark, because we have all the registrations for that. And then you can choose if you want to have printing on the demo lens, or if you want to have a sticker. We can also do stickers on the demo lens. If you want to have printing on the outside. So we give the option for you to customize as you go through the process. There's stamping with different color inks, which is available within the price of the frame. The laser etching filled gives the most elegant, I would say, premium quality of finishing of product. So it's the one that we always would recommend. If price is not an issue, we recommend it. There's a very small surcharge for that because of the handling and the creating of the artwork for that. But then you can choose if you want that on the inside temple, outside temple, inside temple, or if you just want a logo. You customize that then where you want that to be. And then also we then send a printing spec to you for you to review with all the millimeters, how things are, and then you sign that off. So we take you through that process. Then the next step would be for you to decide what additional point of sale material you would like. So we also have cases that we have in stock, which we can print with your brand as well. So you can choose a case, you can choose the printing on that, put that then in your shopping basket as well. And then we have displays and a few other point of sale material that if you want to make a nice window display, in practice display, then that material we don't manufacture. We're very transparent about that. But we buy it in bulk to be able to facilitate our independent opticians to be able to be a one-stop shop for their private label product. So that's kind of the process. It's very streamlined. We can walk you through it, but the website kind of does take you through that. Our website also allows the opportunity to chat. So if you're stuck at any point, or if you want to talk to somebody, or if you want to get a testimonial from one of our other customers, we can facilitate that at any point. And then the last step that we do, which we find that our customers really appreciate, is that we, at the end of the process, when the order's been shipped, we provide a series of images. We do marketing campaigns throughout the year, and we then offer those in high resolution in various dimensions, so that they can be used on social media or printed on posters, and be used for mail outs, or however our independent practices would like to use them. And we provide that as a free of charge service included with our package.
Wow. So full circle is do your research with who you want to work with, right?
Yeah.
Go to the website, figure out your story, your brand, your logo, pick your frames, choose the customization of where the logo is going to be situated,
Yep.
and then the marketing materials. That it sounds great.
Yeah.
So on average, what is the time commitment and the financial investment required, right? Because maybe my fellow optometrists are thinking, oh, this is going to take weeks or months, and it's going to cost me $10,000-$15,000. Give us a ballpark of, because maybe some of us want to do it next quarter, right? So we want to set a budget aside and say, I want to start my private label frame company, maybe not right now, but next quarter, how much do I need to set aside for a budget and how much time do I need to dedicate for this?
I think I'm going to shock you
Okay.
that it's so straightforward. I'm sure that when we share, they're not going to want to wait till next quarter. So we recommend that ideal size would be around 25 frames. Therefore, you've got a very low commitment. You can also get a very good feeling of how your customers have accepted the new frame line. The thing that takes the longest is the logo. So that's why I recommended that people, when they're ready to place their order and to embark on their private label, that they have an idea of what that looks like and what their brand is. Because it has been the case where they say, okay, let's look at models. Yes, I want to go ahead. But then we get kind of stuck because they don't have in mind what they want, what name they want to put on it. So if you've already got your name and you're coming to us to buy, once we finalize that artwork, and basically you set the pace. I mean, if you are responding to emails right away when we email you saying, okay, this is how we're going to print, can you approve? Can we go to the next step? If you reply straight away from the moment that, and payment is required upon finalization of all the details.
Mhm.
From there, we need about 15 working days only to
Oh,
prepare
wow.
and that's for the first order. The first order always takes a little bit longer because we have to prepare all the printing plates and the lasers. Subsequent orders, if they're exactly the same, is very quick. We can just go straight to, so we kind of depend how long it's going to take us to get that stuff set up. But normally it's around 15 working days for us to do the first order. It's very fast. And then the normal spend. So to do your 25 pieces with logo finishing and with a case, you're looking for about $900 to $1,000.
Wow. Yes. So this is important because a lot of doctors think they need to set aside, $5,000, $10,000. Um, One of my questions has to do with the support of branding and point of purchase, which you already touched on. Um, what about staff training? Because some companies offer staff training, but even if you don't, based on experience, it's really important that your staff is on board because if you just order the frames, right, you went in there, got your cart filled. I always tell doctors 36 pieces is a good amount because you don't want five where people are thinking, wait, so are they going out of business? They only have five left?
Yeah.
Or, you want a robust, so like 36 is good. But also get your staff involved because if you just say, hey guys, guess what? We have our own frame line. Here it is. We're going to sell it for $600. Good luck. Let me know how that goes. They might not be as excited as you. So it's important that you involve them. So is there staff training or what is your thought on that?
We we don't, as a program, offer that because of the time difference. So as we're based in Europe, yeah, we can be 10 hours ahead of you. So it doesn't necessarily always work for us to be, to respond immediately to be available, like for those kind of things. However, in our experience, is that putting your name to something is you telling your story,
Right.
right? So it's not like you've brought in a frame line that's someone else's. It's your very own, and it's got your DNA that's been created for your customers. So it should speak for itself because if you've got that far and you've created your logo and you've created your branding, that's your story.
Right.
Uh, so it shouldn't be difficult, and it's your story. It's not ours. And then on top of that, when you have the margin, the profit margins to support that. That should be an incentive. That is the incentivation is the profit and the fact you're selling something that's yours. So it's not something we actually have been asked to do, to be honest, in all of these years. But yeah, experience has told me that financial incentivation and the fact your brand is on it is what's going to make it a win.
Right. So could you share an example of a success story with a practice that launched their own brand? Like what maybe something that happened that they were not expecting and it was such a wonderful surprise, other than the profitability?
Yeah. Well, customers write to us regularly just saying we just got a new delivery, we're loving the frames, our patients have loved it. I just hear a lot of great feedback. We've just got your frames and the staff love them, our patients are loving them, and you know
Right.
That's the kind of feedback that I get. That's motivating.
Right.
So for me, it's always such a pleasure to get to the stage where, the excitement is showing the specifications to a customer where they can actually see their brand on the module of a frame and it comes to life. And then, in a couple of weeks later, they don't have to wait a long time. A couple of weeks later, their delivery arrives and they can feel and touch their frames and they see their name on it. It's very satisfying from our perspective to make those deliveries.
Wonderful. So, what advice would you give a practice owner who is a little bit hesitant to start? Like, oh, I don't know. Like, what advice do you give them?
I think, as I said earlier, given the changing times and the consumers' spending habits have changed in the last years, I think they need to be confident. This is an opportunity to diversify and to have their own collection with the styles that they love. If they get behind it, if they have the energy, if they put the effort behind social media, if they do a few lives, it's a great opportunity for social media to have product, to be able to do reels and lives. You can do an unboxing when the goods arrive. My gosh, that's a huge story. Look, we've just received our own collection of frames, and you could make that story run for a while. Your staff should have the frames on in practice. They should be wearing it. You should glaze them with sun lenses as well, so that when you're asked, you can definitely say that it's your own collection. But I think to not be hesitant. It's a small spend for the opportunity to try to build your own brand and to be unique. It will set you aside from what other people are doing because nobody will have that brand on their frames.
And something that I think is important that a lot of optometrists sometimes don't consider, and this is something that I realized right away when I opened my practice, is if you are carrying and you are selling and offering the exact same frames that your competitor down the street is offering, what's going to happen is one, your patient is going to be like, well, it's all the same thing. Let me compare in price. Who's cheaper? Because it's the same product. Where am I going to get a better deal? But when you're offering a customized product that they do not have, your competitor does not have, now you can price it how you want and you're offering it like you can only find this here.
Exactly. Or they're going to go online and look for it, right?
Yes,
So if they'll come in and they'll shop and they'll make a note of it and then they'll look for it online. So, if we're making a line that's Dr. Diane, if they go online, they're only going to find it at your store.
right.
So, absolutely, it's going to set you apart and it's going to make you unique that they're not going to find. And that will get the credibility. Because if people are coming to you looking for unique eyewear, they're going to find it because that piece with Dr. Diane is only available at your practice.
Absolutely. So is there anything I haven't asked you that you would think that is valuable to share with our viewers about private label?
Another benefit that we have is that you're not having to tie into, if you like one model, to take all the colors of it. And I know some companies do. So that allows a lot of flexibility that you can choose. For example, if your practice color is pink and you only want pink frames and you want to buy 36 of them, you can just get your basket of all pink. You're not having to take the purple and the green with it that you don't want. So that's another benefit. And our online portal is actually what's really helped to facilitate this, because if it's not available, it's not there. It
Mm,
goes off the portal. So it allows us to filter through product quickly, and it means that it's not going to be out of stock when you want to order it, because if it was available, that means that it then becomes available. In terms of, I think it's just important to mention that we are based here in Italy, and our inspiration that we get from our collection, um, most of our customers, I have to be honest, don't actually reorder from us the same models. They
ah,
tend to look to us for the next trends. So we do a lot of research into going to the fashion events that take place in Florence, mostly like for textile and for trends in the future. And we do our study based on what colors are we seeing coming through, what textures are we seeing coming through. And we build our mood boards and then build our collections from what we're seeing that is going to follow in fashion for the next season. So when our customers go into the portal and they see that we're already working ahead for next seasons, we seem to be the collection of choice for always refreshing the latest trends. So although we have got basic models in our collection, I think, really our strength is developing a real, Italian curated designer on trend with the right colors collection. And as we say, we design things throughout the year. And then we put them on the platform as they become available. So you want to also make sure that when you're working with a private label collection or provider, that you see that they've got continuity and that there's freshness coming through, because you want to be able to be refreshing new models and not reordering and looking stale with replenishing what you've already had. So I think also that's important to understand, is how often new models are introduced into the collection.
Absolutely. You want to be like avant-garde, right? Of all
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
So, Nancy, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your company and all of their offerings. Private label eyewear is such an exciting way for practices to differentiate themselves and create something that really resonates with their patients. So, if you're watching this and you want to learn more, I encourage you to reach out directly to Nancy at Logo Project Eyewear. They can answer all your questions, walk you through the process, and help you decide if private label is a collection that's right for your practice. Until next time, I'm Dr. Diana Canto-Sims, and I hope you feel inspired to take the next step in building your own private frame line. And I will see you soon. We'll see you soon. Bye.